Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. It has been some time since my last video, I'm aware of that, but honestly I just haven't had anything worth posting. I haven't bought any new figures in a while and I don't have anything on order that isn't going to take at least a few months to arrive. I think probably the fans toy stuff, their Jazz and Mirage are the next things I have. So I thought I'd come back with a slight update video on my most recent, or one of my most recent purchases, and this is of course X-Transbots Virtus, or Virtus as I'm told it should be pronounced. Either way, you can check out my main review if you want to get my thoughts on the guy. Suffice to say, I had some issues with it. One of the biggest problems I had with it were the pauldrons here on the shoulders. There were two issues for that. One was that they are incorrectly coloured, and two is that they are die cast with paint on, and the paint chips really easily. Now these aren't actually my original pauldrons. You'll see they're not actually too bad in terms of paint damage. Now there is still a little bit. I've got a bit on the front here which is annoying, some around the back, and I've got a little bit on some of the right hand one as well. Not as obvious as it was, but it's still there. These are the originals, which hopefully you can see in this light. This is pretty much how they arrived out of the box, with this paint already flaking. So it was attached, but as soon as I touched it, it came off. So it was obviously just not cured properly, or whatever. And there are other little bits on it as well, such as here, and obviously you don't see the stuff on the inside, but there's another bit at the top there that's flaking, and this is just one of them. Obviously this was the left one, I believe. The right hand side, or the other side, if it is the right, not quite as pronounced, but still quite a lot of again, probably doesn't show up the best in this light, but quite a lot of speckle there and bits missing and stuff, so just untidy. Now my retailer did get me some replacements from X-Transbots, obviously, which is what I fitted to the figure, and as I said, they are better, but they still arrived with some damage. Those replacements were free of charge, thankfully, including shipping, because I was a member. I got them from Amiga Lock, but I was holding out actually for the replacement parts that X-Transbots teased a while ago, and they have finally arrived. And they are these things, these little plastic shoulder replacements. So yeah, I did have to pay shipping on these, which was slightly annoying because you can see the size of the packet is pretty tiny, but it cost me $6.50 to get these shipped, because annoyingly they only have a DPD shipping option, not a Royal Mail option, and this would have cost, you know, probably significantly less to be sent by Royal Mail, but we are where we are. Sorry. At least I got the pieces themselves for free. Now I've already obviously swapped these pauldrons over once using this the method that was outlined in X-Transbots video, but I thought it might be a good idea to go through it on camera just to show people, and that way I can basically, you know, react to it at the same time. One thing I really love about this is not only is that they will not, well, hopefully they will not what's the word, they will not break, sorry, or flake, but they're actually, X-Transbots has actually painted them as they should have been painted in the first place, or coloured them correctly, so that will be good. But anyway, give me a second to get everything sorted, and then we'll go through the process of removing and upgrading the pauldrons. So just bear with me. Okay, so I've moved the camera down a bit so we can get a slightly better view. And one of the things that I always find invaluable when doing stuff like this is a little plastic tool, as it causes slightly less damage than if you were to use a metal tool, or, you know, a screwdriver or something. I wince when I see people using flathead screwdrivers in reviews and stuff. Oh, as you can see, I was just about to say you just need to prise this top piece off here, and I managed to do that and ping it halfway across the room, so that was a good start. The next thing obviously is finding a screwdriver that fits. Now I played around with several until I found a piece that actually fit the screw inside, and you'll find that this is pretty easy to do. It's a lot harder to get them back together than it is to remove them. I find that when you take the screws out, they go back together, or they're a lot harder to get back together. Just move that out of the way. But yeah, you just take that back piece off like that and then remove that. And as you can see, that just clips together like that. You can already see on this one that, you know, it's a bit damaged here. And I have some minor damage on the seam there, but nowhere near as bad as the originals. So what I need to do now is find the new pieces. I've got to figure out which ones go where. Now they go this way around, so these two should go together by the look of it. Yep, that's it. So what I need to do now is I need to pop this piece here. Okay, so after a little bit of faffing, I figured out which way round these go, and you want them with the little seam there down the bottom, and then you just pop that bit on first like that. Got a little bit of paint transfer on mine, but nothing too bad, thankfully. And then the second one, the second piece just pops on like that. And then I think I should be able to get away with using the same screw that I took out of the metal ones, just for ease. I will just double check that though, because the last thing I want to do is strip something and cause them to not fit properly. But they do look like identical screws. What I've found though is that they really are tough in that you can screw them quite tightly, but they don't stick together very easily. Like you see, there's still a gap there. Feels like they should be done, but they take a lot more screwing together than perhaps you think they do before they sit flush. They feel almost like they're not gonna align properly. This is something that I had with the metal ones. Thankfully the plastic ones look to be a little bit better, not like perfect, you know, they still don't sit entirely flush, but they do seem to be a bit better than the metal ones in that respect. I don't want to over tighten them. I feel like we're getting there now. Yeah, it's getting a bit harder to turn now, so I'm probably just crunching or chewing plastic. So I'll leave that, and then we'll get this little cover piece, and that will just pop in there like that and push down. And there you go, you got one side done. And I'm just going to bring this up and we'll lift it up and take a look at what it looks like with the new shoulder piece on. So here we are with the new Pauldron. And honestly, I have to say, that's instantly better for me. That's how he should look. He's supposed to have this yellow bit at the front, not half and half, but right at the front. And I know some people online stripped their die-cast ones down and painted one half the lime green and the other half yellow. But to me, that still looked wrong. But this, at least X-Transbots have done what they should have done originally. It's unfathomable to me that they now did this when so many people pointed it out prior to release that that's what it should look like. And here they are. They've now, instead of taking heed at that time on the original run and making them out of plastic and colouring them correctly, they've had to issue an entire replacement run free of charge for everyone who bought the figure anyway. So yeah, I really don't get that company sometimes. But for me, this looks so much better. It would look even better if this piece was in the same lime green, because that's what it should be. It should not be yellow. But I can kind of overlook that because the overall look of the figure, I believe, you know, it's a small thing, admittedly. But for me, that is a lot better. If I turn him around there he is with the full yellow piece. And, you know, if you're used to Springer from the cartoon, that just looks better. That looks more like Springer from the cartoon, and the movie should do. And when you actually look at the colours they've used as well, the yellow on this plastic, obviously that yellow is far less likely to chip than the yellow would on the die-cast parts. And I have to say that I think the yellow is actually a slightly better match, obviously, because the other parts of the figure that are painted in that yellow are plastic. So this yellow is a much better match. Even this piece down here, which is die-cast, is still a closer match to this than it is to this. So I'm just going to get the other ones swapped out off camera, because I don't think there's any point taking you through that again. It's pretty easy, isn't it? You just pop that front cap off, unscrew it, put the two halves back together, and then put the cap on again, and you're done. So give me a second and I'll get the other one done and come back with a final look. Okay, and we're back, and that one probably took me half the time of the other one, if not even less than that. For some reason that one just screwed together a lot easier, and as you can see, it's got that lovely matching, and it is a nice matching lime green, matches the yellow plastic here, obviously, as you'd expect, because it's the same paint on the same material. It just honestly creates a much better look all round. I think I just wasn't a fan of those die-cast pauldrons. They just didn't work, whereas this, it just creates a more cohesive look. Honestly, some people, you know, would maybe rightly level the criticism that I am overly picky when it comes to my figures, but you know, I strive for the toon accuracy, and this is now closer to the toon accuracy than it was before. It's not 100%, obviously, because there are still issues with things like this, as I said, this not being completely right, and indeed the colours as a whole aren't actually completely accurate to Springer, but they are far better than they were. You know, there's still issues with the figure. As I said, I've still got this loose leg, which was there from the beginning. Even with all the replacement parts I got some replacement hands, so he now holds his weapons slightly better. The sword still only fits in the right hand for some reason, but I got an entirely new replacement wrist, which doesn't come as loose as easily. Still comes loose fairly easily, but not as easily. I actually also got a completely new chest armature because of this damage I've got on the paint on the neck, all over here and here. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that I can punch the pins out with, so I'm stuck with that for the time being, until such time as I can acquire that and the skill to actually do it. But you know, to be honest, now I'm a much happier boy than I was. I think he just, you know, for such a simple thing that they could have got right the first time. You know, the other versions of this figure from other manufacturers have done a better job with stuff like that. And again, X-Transbots were told up front that was something that needed to be corrected, and it wasn't. You know, but there we go. I digress, as usual. It's a much better looking option for me. It pretty much almost alleviates or eliminates the issue of paint chipping, while giving the character a more screen accurate look. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that is a definite plus. A little bit annoyed I had to pay £6.50 for such tiny light plastic parts, but you know, we are where we are. But yeah, you know, hopefully that's been useful for someone who hasn't seen it. I know I'm probably a little bit behind the times because they came out a while ago, so they're probably all over forums by now. I must admit I haven't really been keeping up with stuff lately. But yeah, I am looking forward to getting some new figures in the nearest future, hopefully. But until then, I just guess it probably remains for me to say take care, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next proper video review.